Hey guys, I have been at the Utah Association of Realtors conference for the past 2 days, and I have so much information that I have taken a lot of notes on that I thought maybe I would take a few minutes to kind of tell you about some of the things that I learned. A lot of the first session we talked, which I think is going to apply most to people looking to buy or sell that are looking to real estate agents for advice, it talked a lot about the trends and what is going to happen and what has happened with real estate so far. So I think this one's going to be the most important to you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, and I'll be looking at my notes a little bit as I go. So the trend was already moving for the home prices to rise, but the pandemic accelerated those costs. So I think we all saw it, that it kind of felt like a jump in the market rather than kind of a slow glide up. And that's just because things were naturally trending that way. But when the pandemic happened, it caused things to move that way more quickly. So we weren't quite ready for that, and now we're in kind of a recovery mode of figuring out where we're supposed to be. But it's interesting to see that the house prices this year are still up from last year. I was kind of surprised by that number, not entirely, because that's kind of what I'm seeing, but everybody's talking about the price drops because we are seeing those, but we're still up from last year. So that's a pretty impressive number. There was a record number of commercial sales in 2021 because so many people started going back to the office and they wanted to have places to be able to do their work and to get out of the house. So that was pretty interesting. And also apartment sales. There was a record number of apartment sales in 2021. But there is no doubt that there's a possible recession upon us. They say the term for recession is 2/4 of the GDP going down, and we are there. So we are technically in a recession. And if people think that things are tight, then they tend to spend less money, which is why there's not as much movement in the market right now. But if we look back to like 2019, we're in a very similar place as we were then. So people who are expecting the market to continue and to be, like it was in the past couple of years, we're just normaling out. Things are becoming more normal. So the offers we're going to be seeing are not going to be waiving everything. We're not going to get as many multiple offers, and it's just going to be a really nice market again. I'm kind of excited. Utah is still one of the best places. It's number 10 for taxes. It's number 2 for business. So for people that want to come here and for the new jobs that have been available here, as well as for growth, second behind Idaho. So we're still on the upswing of people wanting to come here, which is why the inventory of our houses is going to cause the prices to continue to rise. So that is something to think about. The sales are down, and what shows the sales going down is not necessarily the sales price, it's the number of sales. So they're talking about the sales are going down just a little bit, but we're still doing well, prices are still doing well, and houses are still selling. Let's see. In 2021, they said that 24% of first-time homebuyers actually used their stimulus checks to make those purchases. So that may be why we had such an influx as well into the market, is because even though people were still working specifically here in the state of Utah, there wasn't a lot of job issues that came around. I know there were some, but there weren't a lot. Those people used those stimulus checks to be able to buy a house. What we are seeing, though, is that a lot of the jobs that have been reopened, so the people that were let go during the pandemic, there's a lot of those positions that have not been refilled. And they kind of gave an example of the motel. If you go to a hotel or motel, your rooms aren't getting cleaned as often. And that is because they didn't bring back in the workers, even though people are now traveling again, but they found out that they could cut that budget. So maybe we just need to demand more when we're staying places. Let's see. There's a lot of different things that we can talk about as far as the market. So they're saying there's going to be a little bit of a plateau, still an increase. It's going to be a lot lower than last year. The number of houses that are going to sell are going to go down, even though the price will go up just purely because of supply and demand issues. Still seems to be a really great year for commercial real estate as well as apartment sales. So some of those smaller homes and the condos, apartments, townhomes, those are going to be kind of a big ticket item here in Utah, where those might see a little bit more increase than the rest just because they're more affordable. So there's been a lot of other things that we talked about just, communicating and building relationships, how to make sure that we're on top of, we went through all the forms, we learned a lot of the legalese for that. We also learned better ways to protect yourself. And one thing I thought was kind of cool is that we learned about how to make passwords, to make sure that you have different passwords. And there's a specific technique that you can use. So you make kind of a weird first start of it. So it's, 2, capital S, small j, 3, small h, large L, something like that you use on everything Then you have a name of the whatever the website is. So if it's Facebook, it could be, book or whatever you wanted to say. And then at the end, you would put kind of a date range so that you could always remember as you update it, and it would help you remember your passwords, but would also protect you from other people trying to get into your things. And I thought that was of very much interest. Also, we had a big training on the fraud that's out there. So people phishing, sending out those weird emails, some things to look for, making sure that you're not responding to basically anything that comes that's not spelled correctly, that doesn't have the correct address, and specifically wire forms, like especially real estate. Real estate is the number 5 for fraud of all types of transactions, and that's because they're high dollar transactions with two people that have not really met each other. So it's really important that you call the title company, that you make sure that if you get a wire instructions that you do not send the money, that you clear that up with your real estate agent, and that you're making sure that you pay attention to that. And it was really surprising just how many times that is happening and how often it is occurring. Even though we're aware of it, it's still slipping through the cracks. So there's just a lot of great things that we learned, a lot of awesome technology out there. I'm really excited to start doing some new things and to start sharing a few new things. And just a reminder, we also learned a little bit more about some of the search engines like Zillow and HGTV, keeping people informed, but also you've got to make sure that those are not necessarily realistic. So we may not be able to find you the house in 3 days, or you may not be able to redo a whole kitchen for $5,000 like HGTV may show. And Zillow, the prices that they're getting doesn't have all the information, specifically here in Utah, because we are a non-disclosure state. So we do not share our prices with Zillow, so they're not really going to know where that price value is. So it's important to actually reach out to a licensed real estate agent to get those comps, and I would be happy to be the one that you call. I think that's pretty much it that I have to share with you guys. There's so many other things that I would love to discuss. And if you have any questions or anything specific, I would love to discuss that with you. Have a great day.